Hey there! In this video, I'm going to share how to set up an online group coaching business. Get ready. There are lots of different ways to set up an online group coaching business. I'm going to cover a few of them and share my absolute favorite with you. The one that's helped me quadruple my business in 1 year and go from low 6 figures into the 7 figures quickly. Here is a little bit of what I'm going to cover in this video. I'm going to cover the benefits of running an online group coaching business. I'm going to define what a business model is and how it impacts you and your bottom line. I'm going to talk about different types of group coaching business models. I'm going to get into the difference between a mass model and a boutique model. I'll share how to design an online group coaching program and how to choose your online group coaching format. We'll talk a little bit about your online group coaching program's structure, how to package and price it, how to sell it. So as you can hear, there is a lot going on in this video. Watch it all the way through. And before you even get started, how about you go ahead and press subscribe to my channel, because I have so many different videos about how to start, run, and grow all types of online group coaching programs and businesses. Let's start with the benefits of an online group coaching program. So first benefit of doing a program like this online is that you're geographically untethered. You don't have to be in a certain spot. When I started my online coaching business, it was such a relief for me and a release, because for the first time ever, I didn't have to be in Miami. I actually was able to take off on a road trip around the country because it liberated me from live in-person meetings. And the benefit of a group program, not just online, but any group program, is that it leverages your time, as opposed to a one-on-one model where you have to meet with each client one at a time and you're repeating yourself and you're saying the same things. A group model leverages your time, and here's the big secret that I didn't know, and I wouldn't have even believed probably if someone had told me in the beginning, which is that a group model, in my opinion, has more magic than a one-on-one model. Meaning, there's magic in the group, in the dialogue between people, in people witnessing each other have these transformations and breakthroughs that you couldn't possibly deliver one-on-one. Another great benefit is that you can focus in on a tighter niche, which means you can go narrower and deeper, which I'll explain later, helps you to raise your prices and be more valuable to your clients. And an online model means you can tap into online marketing, which is generally cheaper than other types of marketing, like marketing in newspapers or magazines or live events. Online marketing tends to be lower cost, although it requires higher volume, which we'll talk about a little bit later. Okay, next I'm going to define what is a business model. Your business model is the mechanism by which you turn your magic into money. And with online group coaching, you have a few choices about what kind of business model you choose. A few different types of online group coaching models is you could do a subscription model where people pay you every month and they receive programming and stuff from you every month. Another is a mastermind model where you gather a group and you just facilitate the groups, or you have multiple groups that you facilitate or others facilitate. Other group coaching models like my own are where you gather every so often. We gather weekly and you just coach people in front of the group. I call that fishbowl coaching. No matter what kind of model you choose though, my advice is that you go with a boutique model versus a mass model. Let me explain the difference between a mass model and a boutique model. In a mass model, you do lots of volume and lower price points. In a boutique model, you're doing less volume, lower volume, and higher price points. Let's talk about shoes for a minute. The difference between Crocs, which are like 30 or 40 bucks a pair, versus Christian Louboutin, which are 1,000 or 2,000 a pair, right? With Crocs, you have to deliver a whole lot of shoes to make the same amount of revenues as you would with one pair of Christian Louboutins. So I'm a big believer in going with a boutique model, especially early in your business when you're just starting. So higher touch, higher price points, higher value proposition versus the mass types of models, which a lot of people are out there doing, but they require generally either a big audience or a lot of traffic in order to sell them. So that's one of the downsides. My advice, start with the boutique model, use that extra profit to invest then in building out some sort of mass subscription or membership model. Next, let's talk about how to design an online group coaching program. The first thing to consider is, what is the value proposition of your program? What are the outcomes that you provide? What's the promise of the program? And when I talk about the promise, I'm talking about something that they know they want and need. So bringing people in with the promise of the thing they want, and then oftentimes helping them understand what they don't even realize that they want or need, the blind spot. So the things that you'll want to think about in this topic are, do you need a curriculum? Is there a stepwise path to get from where they're starting to where they're going? So you'll want to think about, some people call this the customer journey. So as you're designing your group coaching program, think about step 1A, where they are now, versus, let's call it step F, where they want to get to, and what are B, C, D, E in order to get there. And then build your program around those steps. So here's an example. I have a program that's about how to step into greater alignment in your business. So step 1, you got to understand yourself first. And once you understand yourself, step 2 is, what's the lifestyle you want to lead? How much money do you want to make? What's the business model that you need for that? What's the brand that's going to support that promotional strategy? What are the marketing efforts that you need to do? And how are you going to sell and enroll people into your program? So those are the steps that people go from A to Z or F or G or whatever in my group coaching program, which is actually a 3-day retreat. So in that 3-day retreat, we go through all these steps, and then they get to, let's say, point F, and they're like, oh, I love this. This is so good. And then, of course, I offer them the opportunity to do HIJKLMNOP, whatever, right? Then they can enroll in what I call the Big Back End program, which is a whole year long. So think about, too, as you create your online group coaching program, what's that initial breakthrough people want and need, and then what can they come into that keeps them with you for the long haul. By the way, if you're liking this content, you want to learn more, I have so many more videos. Subscribe to my channel so you'll get notified when I do new videos, and check out some of my playlists, how to make money, how to brand yourself, how to sell, market, promote your any kind of coaching or speaking business. Now let's talk about, once you have an idea of what the curriculum is and what kind of value you want to deliver, how to structure it, what kind of format to deliver it in. One thing you might want to consider are programs that have a fixed time frame. So for example, a 1-month course or a 3-month course or a 12-week course or whatever it is. And in that time frame, you deliver this really juicy outcome. Another format to consider is an ongoing format, which I call usually the Big Back End or a percolator program. So these are programs where people pay by the month and they can stay for a year, 2 years, 10 years, or for life. Another format that I like a lot and that I use is a retreat format. The reason I like it so much is that it's like a pressure cooker. You get people together for 3 days and you have a really tight and strategic structure. People can have huge breakthroughs, and usually they'll want to stick with you and keep going, and they can come into some sort of big back-end program. Another thing to consider with your online group coaching structure is, will you have open enrollment or closed enrollment? So open enrollment means people can sign up anytime and join your program. But closed enrollment means that you have specific times where people can come in and then it's closed until the next opening. So I like closed enrollment. I used to have open enrollment, people enrolling all the time, but what ends up happening is then you're always in sales mode while you're also in delivery mode. What I like about closed enrollment is that it separates those two periods. This is a concept that I really learned from a guy named Stu McLaren, who's an expert in membership models. With a closed program, for example, what I do is I have 4 times a year, we have a 3-day retreat. And everyone who wants to work with us starts with this 3-day retreat format. And in that 3-day retreat, they have an opportunity to enroll in our 1-year program, which is always running, but people can only enter it during those 4 enrollment periods. And what I found is that having those deadlines, having openings and closings, mean people, when they're ready, they sign up. versus putting it off and saying, oh, I'll sign up next week or next month or call me back later. It's like, this is it. Enrollment closes in a couple of days. This is when you get to make the decision. And so I find that has better outcomes, and it separates the marketing and selling from the delivering, which I appreciate. I like to focus on service when I'm focusing on service, and then I can have these small periods where I'm really intensely focused on enrollment. Another thing to think about in your structure is, how are you going to deliver group coaching? There's a real value, and sometimes people don't realize it, to what I call fishbowl coaching. Fishbowl is where your whole group is together, you're the leader, and you've got one person that sort of takes the hot seat. And you work with that person witnessed by everyone else. And while you're working with that person, you really got in your brain that all these other people need to get value from it as well. And so that way you can have an intense experience with one person, but everybody else is also still getting value from it. So that's one type of format I have mentioned in the past. One of my favorite formats is the Mastermind format. And that's where you have your entire cohort and you can break them out into smaller groups, or you can even do this in a larger group if you have enough time. But each person gets a turn to state their problem, their challenge, their obstacle to the entire group and get feedback from those people. With Zoom as a platform to deliver your coaching, with a professional membership to Zoom, you can break people out into infinite number of rooms. I don't know, I'm sure there's a limit to it, but we've broken out into up to 20 or 30 rooms, and it works great. And then you bring them back, and then you can have people from each room share what they got, what their big breakthroughs and ahas were. One last structure that I want to bring up is one that also I got from Stu McLaren, which is where people can submit questions in advance, and then you can answer the questions either live or even in a pre-recorded format, and then feed it to them via Facebook Live or in a Facebook group or on a live Zoom call. But essentially that way people know that their question is going to get answered as long as they submit it by a certain date. And you can do that every week, every 2 weeks, every month, however often you want to do it. And another cool thing that Stu used to do with that is that he would email us and tell us, hey, your question is or his assistant would email us and say, hey, your question is answered at this timestamp. So you could fast forward directly to your question. The last thing I want to mention is around pricing your group coaching program. I'm not going to get super deep into pricing strategy because I have other videos about that, but I do want to mention this. That one of the biggest mistakes I see coaches make when they're creating their online group coaching programs is that they drop the price so much because they have a belief that one-on-one is more valuable than group. Because they have a belief that because it takes more of their time and it's more effort, then it must be worth more to do one-on-one coaching. And I absolutely disagree. What I've learned and what I've seen again and again and again with myself and with my clients is that the group program is actually more valuable than the one-on-one. Now, that doesn't mean I don't include some one-on-one components into the group. I do. But what I've seen is that the group pieces is where people really make the breakthroughs. Getting witnessed by each other, witnessing each other have breakthroughs is something that delivers a whole lot of value. And so it's way more valuable than you think. And it could be priced in the same ballpark as one-on-one coaching. So just something to consider there. Finally, let's talk about how to sell an online group coaching program. Again, I have a whole video on how to sell a coaching program, so I'm not going to give that all to you here. I just want to say that in my experience, the absolute best way to sell a program like this is on the phone or on Zoom, but not trying to sell it through a web page or a landing page or a sales funnel or even a webinar. Why? Because it matters who's in the group. Especially if there's live engagement. One bad apple can spoil the bunch. So I'm a big believer in curating your group and making sure you get on the phone or get on a Zoom and really make sure someone's a right fit, that they're committed, that they're going to show up, that they're going to add value to your group. What my coach, Mark LeBlanc, calls having a meaningful conversation to enroll people who are ready, willing, and able to be fully committed. And now we've arrived at the absolute best part of the video, which is where I give you a free resource that is a valuable resource that's going to really help you. And that is the opportunity to speak with either me or someone on my team about your business and how to grow your business model. So go on over to superstardiscoverycall.com and book a call, and we will help you have a breakthrough in your business model, even if you never work with us again. Enjoy.